All right, Awesemo, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you at the crack of dawn for a second day in the row. A little MLB, technically live before lock, although first pitch is not till 1:05 today. But we have 2 hours of NBA coming behind us, so we've got a hard out here at 10:55. I'm joined today by Max, my Sunday partner in crime. Max, it's been a full week. What's been going on in your world? Kids, dogs, and precipitation?
Yeah, like way too much rain. It's like 50 degrees outside. My kids hate being in the house, and that makes me hate being in the house as well. So yeah, it's a pleasure to be joining you guys today and taking an hour out of my otherwise miserable day.
I'm looking forward to having some fun. We don't have to go to work tomorrow. That's very helpful.
That's very good. Yeah.
Not that I go to work anymore. It's all done. It's all done via the computer. So I'm sitting right here. It just depends which hat is on. Is it the DFS hat or is it the day job hat? So we have a little bit of that. Perhaps I will sleep in tomorrow. We shall see. Has not happened for many a moon. It's a shame. I haven't made it past 10 o'clock the last 2 nights. I was fast asleep. Did not get to see the baseball. Did not get to see the NBA. Got to see nothing and liked it. Well, I didn't really like it, but it was a non-negotiable. 9:30. You get old and you got to go to bed. It's a shame.
Listen,
very sad.
Being old sucks.
It's not.
Need a beauty rest.
Yeah, the beauty rest doesn't. What do you think? Is it working?
I think it's pretty good. I think for 10 a.m. it's not bad.
All right, well, let's jump on in here. We've got a whole bunch of stuff going on, and we do have just 55 minutes to get this all to you. We're looking at about 55-0 now. We've got about that many people watching. Please do hit that like button. Even better, hit that subscribe button. We've got 6 shows today. You got to hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell to let you know every time we go live here at Awesemo. Reminder, any of our shows that are not part of the Live Before Lock series will end up, Jordan, you may want to mute your mic, will end up, Jordan forgets that he's laughing and burping and having some fun here. Good times. He's not the best in the business for nothing, guys. But we have the Awesemo Podcast Network, of course, that brings in 5 different channels, one for each of the sports plus a consolidated channel. You get everything there for free and on demand. So if you don't want to burn through roaming data or anything like that, you can definitely subscribe to those as well. And then finally, easy way to get 1 week of Awesemo premium content. Sign up and leave a review, 5-star variety, of course, on any of our podcasts, on any of our podcast platforms, which we're literally on all of them. We take everybody that leaves that, put your username, your social media handle, Twitter, etc., in there so we can contact you. But you're going to be in a live drawing for 52 weeks. And each week on Friday, we select one lucky winner to get 1 free week of Awesemo premium content. Who says we never give you anything? All right, Max, what do we have to celebrate today? Well, only one doubleheader. It looks like we may lose 1 game, probably the Boston one, and not as much weather as we've seen over the last 48 hours. We have a hat tip here to our counterpart, Chris Spags, who took down 50,000 big ones on NBA Friday night. So definitely using the tools there. That's a good help. Here, and a little indicator of the Awesemo premium content. You guys want to check that out. It's going to be key. Chris does have the weekend off, or at least today anyway. So you'll get Josh and Rinpack after us. And then live before lock for NBA will be Aton and Eric Lindquist. Let's jump on in here. First game. It's going to be a little drizzly. It's going to be a little bit cold here in the Washington, D.C. metro area. That gives us a 6.5 implied run total. No, it's dropped down to a 6 implied run total for this game.
Yeah.
Feels like we might want some pitchers. The floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, 2 good pitchers facing each other. Both, I think, are the highest priced pitchers we have on the slate. The weather is pretty miserable, 48 degrees, wind blowing in, drizzly. It looks like it's going to be one of those 2-1 games, EMac. Yeah, you're definitely going to want one of these guys. Right now, I think our projections favor Max Scherzer by like 5 points, which I think is pretty reasonable. I myself, I think I like Woodruff just a little bit better here. Yeah, the ex-Boba giving up only 245 for Woodruff. Max is a little bit behind at 269. The launch angle is good for these guys. Max is striking out 35%, Woodruff 30%. The walks are 5% a piece. I think I just play whichever one is lower owned, right, EMac? Like, I think whichever one is lower owned, you go higher on, and whichever one is higher owned, you go lower on, because their
Absolutely.
projections are so similar. Yeah, like nothing really to be afraid of in these offenses. And I wouldn't even mind stacking both of these guys up, because I don't think too many people will do it, because people do still want to get wins from both of their pitchers in their lineup, which isn't really that important on DraftKings. It's just 2 strikeouts. So yeah, that's probably my strategy here.
And that's definitely a good one. So 2 things I do want to mention, or harp in, push in, hone in on, pick your platitude, is one, utilizing sort of with all of our pitchers, because of the volatility in pitchers, I rarely match the field. Yeah. I either choose to go above or below. Now, I don't necessarily have to go above or below dramatically, but in this case, I will choose to go 10 raw percentage points above or below most of the more popular pitchers, and that gives me some differentiation. It allows me to consolidate in on some of the more popular hitters and not have to worry about it, because I'm either going to be above or below the field on pitching, and that's something with the variance that happens there, and their ability to go negative also just gives the differentiation that I'm looking for. So I think that one is key. The other thing, we call it boxing the win. That really doesn't happen very often in baseball, because more and more we're not seeing pitchers go the complete 5 innings. The 2 guys today should, right, but there's only 1 win. There's still probably going to be, even with these guys going deep into the games, another half dozen innings picked up by the bullpens, 4 to 6 innings, in which if there's a tie game, a lead change or something like that, then someone in the bullpen's going to end up with the win. So even though we're picking 2 aces going against each other, odds of us getting a win are about 37%. That's an approximation. Maybe a little bit higher with these guys, but the point is, even taking both pitchers doesn't guarantee you getting a win. There's just so many other places it can go these days. Yeah, for sure. I see no reason to really pick on either of these guys. If it was going to be warm, hot, we're going to see like we did last week in Washington, D.C. We had that nice, 80, 90 degree weather, the home run weather. I would say, hey, find a one-off here or there. We know these guys are going to pound the strike zone. Someone can run into one, Juan Soto, Schwarber, et cetera. Christian Yelich. I just don't feel the need to do that today.
Yeah, there was really no point.
So this one mostly pitching only. So that'll help us pick up a little bit of time here. Moving on to our next game. We have some hitting options here. Did we get the pitcher yet for
No, unfortunately.
Pittsburgh? I don't think it's really going to matter, other than it's a low-ish implied run total, but I'm not really fired up for pitching in either one of these games. Not really doing cartwheels for the hitting either. This is by no means a stay away. This is one of those, I'll take whatever I get that the optimizer gives me. Do you feel strongly about anything in this game?
I wish I did. I mean, I like Kyle Freeland as a pitcher, or at least I did last year. This is a guy that kind of pounds the zone, ground balls, gives you some strikeouts. But I mean, this Pittsburgh team is not very good at hitting. It looks like they're going to be rolling out 3 left-handers versus a lefty. That's never good. Freeland is pretty cheap. Let me see, how many pitches did he throw his first start? Because he just came off the DL. He threw 74. So you can kind of project him for around 90-ish, I would say, in his second start here, assuming he doesn't get blown up, which I don't really think he will. Another game with really nice pitching weather, 51 degrees here. The totals are really low, 3.8 and 3.7. I'm going to be really interested to see what we have projected for Freeland as far as ownership goes, because he is so cheap and we love picking on this Pittsburgh lineup. So that's going to be interesting to me. Yeah, I mean, other than Freeland here, I really just don't see anything else I might want. Rocky's team, not strong enough of a stack for me. They are bringing back guys like Matt Adams here at 2K. That guy does have some power. I'm sure you know him from the Nationals, EMac. So maybe a guy like that at 2K at first base as a salary saver, and really no one else for me here. What about you?
No, and I see someone in chat mentioning that it looks like it could be Chad Kuhl potentially going here for the Pirates. Nothing particularly exciting with him. He's made 4 starts so far this season. He's gone about 15.2 innings. Nice, not nice. Not even above average, reasonable strikeouts, nothing to terrify you with. That would put the lefty in play. Lefties, I guess that would be a 2K Matt Adams, as you mentioned. Fat Adams, as he is affectionately known as in the DFS circles, does like to run into home runs against righties. He is also a pinch hit risk if a lefty comes in. But when we're looking at, basically a 7 implied run total here for this entire game, not a lot of offense really to look for, not the best of weather conditions, plus PNC Park tends to suppress offense in and of itself. Even if we get Chad Kuhl, I'm not overly excited in going to him. It'd be, Freeland, I think it's about a 10 to 12% guy. I wouldn't close Matt Kuhl out, but he'd be more, or Chad Kuhl out. He'd be more like a 5% guy. And I would not be surprised if none came up in my crunches. That's another question. Someone was asking me, what do you set your pitching caps at in crunches? So if I like to play in the 2 pitcher sites, that equals 100% times 2. That's 200% of your pitching. You need to set your caps at around 250 if you don't want your crunches to run super duper slow. So generally what I do is I just start out with a 3 or 5% baseline for everybody. And then I go in and start moving it up to on the players I want. I generally end up capping out on the pitchers I really, really want. And that's where we were saying, are you going to go above or below the more popular pitchers? So I usually will hit whatever cap I do there. And then it just kind of plays out throughout the rest of the players or pitchers getting somewhere between 1 and 7% of quite a few people, just depending on how it works out. But that's how you can make sure your cruncher is going to run more quickly. FanDuel generally, if I'm going to be, I prefer hand building there because I don't play a ton of lineups when I play over there. But I would set my pitching exposure to somewhere between 120 and 130 of the key players I want, and I would forget about anybody I don't like, and I'd probably narrow it down to about the 5 pitchers I really want there, because of how the hitters are priced there. You can do whatever you want with pitching because it's usually buy one get one on good stacks. All right, moving along to our next game here, we have the host closing his incorrect window. It's the Blue Jays. It is Cleveland. Now, this game is game 1 of a doubleheader. It's the only doubleheader we have today. This game was postponed for high winds yesterday. They had sustained winds in the 30-mile-an-hour coming in from the outfield range, gusts up to 40 to 45. So it actually wasn't a precipitation thing. It was just, so that's just kind of interesting. So today, this is a 7-inning game. Ross Stripling was the noted starter yesterday. It was going to be lefty Sam Hentges. He ended up, I don't know if he's going to go in the second game or not today, but it's Aaron Savali going for Cleveland. The one thing that we want to remember is even though we're seeing these lower implied run totals, that doesn't impact our starters because our starters are still going to play about the same or go about the same number of innings that they would normally. If you want to see what the impact to them is, go look on the 5-inning run lines on sportsbook sites or even Odd Shopper. That'll give you an indication of how many runs are kind of going to be tallied against your starters. So I've seen too much content recently with all the doubleheaders we have where players have been, or content people would say, oh, look at this low implied run total. Definitely take the pitchers in this game. No, that's not how this works. Do they have the opportunity to get a complete game out of this a little higher than normal? Yes. Yeah. Is Ross Stripling and Aaron Savali going to be the type of pitchers to do that? Probably not. Maybe Savali, but going against the Blue Jays, I doubt it. So it's going to be like a normal start for our pitchers. Our hitters are going to lose about 1 at bat on average, maybe 1.3 for the home team, because if they're ahead, they're not going to get that 7th at bat, but the visiting team's going to get at least 7 at bats. So yesterday I recommended going with the Chicago White Sox in the shortened game against Matt Harvey. I'm not going to recommend that today, but it's something we definitely want to think about from time to time because you can get some good offensive situations at very limited popularity. So there's the MLB DFS strategy portion of this show, how to handle this one. Today, with all the other games that we have, I don't really see a need to do anything outside of the pitchers. What is your take on this game?
Yeah, for me, it's Savali here. This is a guy that's been throwing over 100 pitches pretty much every start, which I like to see. Yes, the Blue Jays lineup is very, very good, but it's mostly right-handed heavy. And if you look at Savali's splits, it's pretty glaring that he gets righties out very, very well. A WOBA allowed of only 238 to righties. Not a ton of power, not a ton of strikeouts either, which we don't like to see. And those are the kinds of guys I usually don't recommend. But I think with a 7-inning game, the fact that Tito likes to put out his pitchers for a bunch of pitches, and the fact that this is like a not a lot of hard contact, 46% ground ball guy against righties, I think he does have a decent chance, depending on the Blue Jays lineup as well. So if we see like a Sunday lineup of the first game of the doubleheader where they're missing a couple of their main guys, and we see more than the share of righties that we're used to seeing here, I think it makes some sense to go to Savali at only 8.7K. So I am interested in him. Ross Stripling is really not very good at this point in his career. And the Indians are also not very good, but I don't mind taking maybe a one-off from the Indians here if you are inclined to one of these guys like a Harold Ramirez. I usually like to recommend at only 2.3K, has some power and speed upside. I wouldn't play any stacks here. I like Savali and maybe a one-off from Cleveland. So that's pretty much it for me here, EMac.
All right. Chat was setting me straight. It wasn't because of wind. It was because of poor field conditions. Apologies. I was just going off one of our favorite Twitter, DFS Twitter weathermen. Not to throw them under the bus. I just didn't follow up once the game was postponed. And they said, oh, inclement weather. Is it really the winds?
Yeah, what do we care?
I moved on from there. The game wasn't happening, but
we got other stuff going on.
Yeah, but thank you. It is important for me to be factual on these. I don't want to bake stuff up. So don't let me continue to run with poor information. So thank you for that. But I just wanted to show you guys where I did see that from. I wasn't just making that up. Hey, you guys want to get the good stuff behind the paywall? Definitely check out the Awesemo Plus content here. You can get 1 month of Awesemo for 1 week of Awesemo all access for $29.95. That gets you everything, full access to all of the sports, NASCAR, MLB, PGA. We've got NFL coming up. We've got some season-long NFL stuff coming up for best balls, all sorts of the goodness there. We've got plenty of playoff basketball. We've got esports. We have soccer. We're loaded. If you just want to focus in on MLB, I know we have a lot of seam heads out here. You guys watching this definitely are into the baseballs. So check out the weekly package. Baseball only is $15.95. You get all of our baseball content. Stop guessing, start winning. Try Awesemo Plus today. Game number 4. This one's kind of interesting. Zach Eflin, no K's in his name. Kind of hard to trust a pitcher named Zach, not spelled with a K. He's going against Tampa Bay. They have a 4.3 implied run total. On the other side, we have Colin McHugh going against Philly. I'm surprised Philly has just a 3.8 implied run total, especially since they get the DH. And then we remember a lot of their key players are on the injured list. Harper, Real Muto, and Didi Gregorius are out of action. Feels like a good pitching environment. No weather, no wind, no inclement anything to worry about. No field conditions. Only the speakers that can turn things into
the catwalks, right?
Yeah, the catwalks. What do you want to do with this game?
So McHugh is the opener, right? Like the most he's thrown this year is 30 pitches. So it's going to be a bullpen game for Tampa here. So their pitching kind of goes out the window, but also the Philly hitting for me. I think that's why they have a 3.5 projected run totals, because the Rays bullpen is quite good. So, yeah, I guess really nothing from the pitching for me, except I think Eflin is interesting. Zach with an H, but there are a lot of Ks in this Rays lineup, right, EMac? So they strike out at the 3rd highest rate we have in the majors. You get the reduced power of the stadium. And it makes Eflin interesting. The 9.3K price tag is going to make him less popular today. So I do think we get him at really decent ownership, just because people are going to pay up for those 10K guys in Woodruff and Scherzer. So I think as Eflin is going to be lower owned today, with only, ex-Wobo out of 295, ex-slugging of 418, only 2% walks. The strikeouts are only 24%, which is a little above league average, but I think you can bump that up a couple percentage points against Tampa. So I do like Eflin here, and kind of just write off everything else for me, I think.
Yeah, the projected lineup here for Tampa Bay strikes out at 29% if we look at their
that's high.
Yeah, they're 2+ trailing season stats, 2+ seasons. That is well above league average, which is around 24.5% these days. So that is kind of a big number. The other thing about it is it's not just one or two people. I mean, Mike Zunino is going to kind of push that a little bit up. However, they do have most everybody in the lineup striking out above league average as well, with just Manny Margot at 20% and Joey Wendell at 17%. The only ones that, air quote, do not strike out that much. So that is interesting.
Did you see their prices on DK? Like, why are they priced like they're playing in Coors Field? 6K
that is pretty
for
interesting.
Randy,
Yeah,
5.4 for Meadows. With Joey
Manny Margot at
5K.
Yeah, 3,200 for Manny Margot. It's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, the DraftKings algorithm for some reason priced them up insanely high, so they're really out of play.
All right. Kevin Kiermaier always hits a home run on Sunday.
2.4K. There's the only guy that you can actually play in this team.
Yes. I'm exaggerating, but it always seems like he gets a home run on Sunday. Don't let that be part of your decision point. What should be part of your decision point is our next game, because we got a lot to talk about here. I am going to say less than flattering things about Tariq Skubal. I will give him this. He does have a ton of strikeout upside. However, in his last 4 starts spanning 21 innings, he gives up too many base runners and too much power. He does have 31 strikeouts in those 21 innings, but on the season, he has allowed 13 home runs. That's the second most in the league by 1. The only 2 pitchers ahead of him have pitched 9 and 14 more innings than he has. Righties are definitely the bane of his existence. He has a 57% fly ball rate across his 257 career opposite-handed matchups. That works out to a 370 WOBA and I believe it was a 370 ISO as well. Very, very high. He is going to be a good pitcher. He deserves to be a major league pitcher. He is going to be a flame-throwing lefty. He's got a lot to learn about owning his craft, though. So I'm definitely fired up for the Yankees bats. You're wearing your Yankees hat. Talk to me about the Yanks. And who the hell is Michael King?
Michael King is their long man. They lost Kluber to an injury, so they're kind of trying to replace him with this guy. I'm assuming he goes 3 or 4 innings, but it's a bullpen game really for the Yankees here. But either way, I don't think you want to look at the pitching on either side. As you mentioned, Skubal is going to be an interesting prospect. I've actually played him a few times this year. A lot of strikeout upside, but this matchup is way too dangerous against the Yankees. Kind of like what the Yankees do well is hit hard-throwing lefties well, and that's exactly what Skubal is. Stan is back in the lineup and only 4.3K. I'm expecting him to be one of the highest ownership players on the slate today. So that's way too low. Then you have Gio Urshela at 3.9K. Yeah, I mean, just kind of take your pick of the Yankees here. Can pretty much stack any and all of them in this spot. And we're really not used to seeing good weather in Detroit, but this is like the second best weather we have on the slate. 65 degrees and, a mild wind. It's not great hitting weather, but as far as everything else goes on the slate, it's really, really bad. So this is actually pretty decent hitting weather. I'm expecting the Yankees to be a very popular stack. We'll see what they are in our top stack still when that updates. But, I mean, for me, I think I'm going to play Yankees, even if they're chalk, at a really, really decent ownership. It's just, as you mentioned, we like to find these stacks that are going to have a lot of home run upside. And that's what Skubal does at this point in his career, is that he just hits way too much of the plate with his fastballs and allows a bunch of home runs. So that makes it a stack that I want to target even at high ownership.
I wanted to see Skubal. He was in the top third of the prospects from each of the last 2 years. So he's definitely going to be a good,
he'll get
good pitcher, and he'll be there. It's just, the pandemic shortened season, all that stuff is just, and going against this particular Yankees lineup,
it's a bad matchup.
To not work out well. But there will be times and on short slates where we will be recommending him because of his strikeout upside.
Yeah, for sure.
not someone I want to target today. I'm not going to kick him out of my player pool just because there is strikeout upside in the Yankees lineup, and it's baseball. But this is one where I'm much more interested in even joining the masses in rolling out the Yankees there. There's no reason not to. Our next game is Boston. They're hosting the Marlins. It looks like it's going to rain all day today. Not only is it going to rain all day, it's going to be in the mid 40s. It's just absolutely miserable. There is also a 12 to 15 mile an hour breeze/wind coming in from center field. If we knew the game was going to play, I think I'd look to pitchers on both sides of this one. I'm not particularly interested in the hitters. I think this is too much of a risk. I'm going to take everybody out of my player pool here. It is what it is. We saw them play through a relatively heavy rain on Friday, and there were some people, and they only ended up making it 6 innings, but there were people in chat and on Twitter bitching about how, I can't believe the weathermen were wrong. Those were the people that didn't actually tune into that game. It was raining pretty good. They did not look like they were having fun, other than Sandy Leone, who was coming back and got to start at DH, and they did a nice little montage video for him to start the game. It looked pretty miserable there. It's even worse today. So we'll have to see what happens. I just don't want to take the risk of a shortened game or even a full postponement here. So tread lightly at best.
I think it gets postponed in like an hour for what it's worth. So I think you're going to know well before lock.
All right.
It's a 1-10 game.
And that's a good point. We still have almost 3 hours before some of these games are going to go off. We are starting early today because we do have 2 hours of NBA after us, starting promptly at 11 o'clock. You're going to get the NBA deeper dive. That is going to be Josh Engelman and Rinpack. And then you will get the NBA live before lock with Eitan and Eric Lindquist taking you up to NBA tip-off. Let's talk about our new sponsor here, Prize Picks. They're offering a very simple format, a little twist on the fantasy DFS world. You can say goodbye to sharks. There are no lineup optimizers, and there is no mass multi-entry. Well, how does that happen, EMac? This sounds interesting. Well, all you got to do is just make 2, 3, 4, or 5 choices on player props. The more you pick, the better or the longer your odds get, but the higher your upside is. So you just go against the lines that they are setting. You can mix and match across different sports, from NBA to esports to MLB, etc. They, of course, will have NFL. But basically what you do is choose between 2 and 5 props. And if you choose as many as 5 props in your particular wager, if you will, and this is not sports wagering, this is DFS twist wagering for those states that don't have sports wagering just yet, but you get 10x on your entry fee. So all you got to do is download the mobile app. You can get that at the App Store, Google Play. They do have an online site at prizepicks.com. Here's the important part. When you sign up, use the promo code Awesemo. For your first deposit, they will match you up to $100. That will be in Prize Picks cash that will come out first into your wagers or / entry fees, because again, it's not sports betting. But definitely check that out. A little bit of a twist there to have some fun with. I'm most interested in the $100 deposit bonus myself.
Sweet.
That's not how Eric Cartman says it.
Pretty sweet.
Cheesy poofs, beefcake. Speaking of beefcake here, we've got Blake Snell going against Houston. Tough matchup. Houston's second best team in the league this season with a 122 WRC plus against Southpaws. It is the Snell elevator. There is some strikeout upside here with Houston. On the other side, we have Zach with a K, which makes us feel good about his name. However, there are no strikeouts in his game. A little bit of a misnomer there. Maybe he should be Zach with an H. What are we doing in this one?
At one point, Zach Greinke did have strikeouts, so he's just gotten old, like you and I.
Yeah, like 15 years ago when he was like, does anybody remember when he was with the Royals? What about the Angels?
He had like some severe anxiety issues. Remember that?
Oh yeah, it was this. He's reinvented himself many times.
Yes, but he was great at many points in his career, and he's still decent. Like only 29.9% hard hits. Like this is very low. Xwobo giving up of 300. Yeah, he's striking out 20% of guys. Not walking anybody. He's just like kind of your crafty pitcher at this point in his career. I don't know, what does he throw? Like a 50-mile-an-hour curveball. I mean, this is a guy that you're really not going to want to play in DFS too often. At 8.3K, and it's still a little high for him, I think, for his upside, especially going after at this San Diego lineup. And the roof is open here, EMac, something we should mention. The Spark does play much better with the roof open. So here's my take on this game, and I think it's going to be a little contrarian here. I really like the Astros stack. So Snell is a guy that strikes out a lot of guys, but also walks a lot of guys. 14% walks, 33.3% strikeouts. Unfortunately for him, the Astros don't strike out. I think they're the lowest in the league in the mid-teens in strikeouts. So this is something that curbs the one thing that he does well to get batters out. He also gives up an 11.4% barrel percentage and 40% hard hits. So that makes me think that we can target these Astros bats for a lot of upside as far as home runs go, as far as walks and home runs go, which is how you get a pitcher out, and then you can get a bullpen game out of these Padres. So I really kind of think you can get this Astros team at really decent ownership just because they're decently expensive, but not as expensive as we're used to seeing them actually, and going against a pitcher that we usually want to just play in a bunch of our lineups due to his strikeout upside. So for me, it's the Astros here, the best hitting environment that we have on the slate, really, at 80 degrees. And just a lot of these guys have a lot of power versus lefties. So yeah, that's for me, Matt. Play these Astros.
All right, and then not to besmirch Greinke too much, where he is in his career today, we want to target him. He is a 6-time All-Star. He did win the 2009 Cy Young Award, and he pitched for this is his 6th organization. He has 6 Gold Glove awards, 2 Silver Slugger awards, and he led the league in ERA twice.
He has also made a lot of money.
Yes, but he did. You are correct. He did. I'd forgotten that. So in 2004 he made his debut. Was derailed by battles with depression and anxiety in 2005 and 2006. Missed the majority of the 2006 season. Returned in 2007 as a relief pitcher, and then won the Cy Young Award 2 years later.
Good for him, man. Yeah. Battling those mental issues and figuring them out. That's kudos to this guy.
Now, the fact that his fastball is about as fast as his changeup, or vice versa, that we can make fun of. but he did battle through some stuff. You know who's going to battle through some things and stuff today? Keegan Aiken. All in on the White Sox. Yes, we are paying top dollar. Yes, we are paying Coors Field prices, but it is well worth it today. If we look at Aiken here, this is his 5th appearance of the season. He's coming off 3 inning relief appearances, so he should be good for 70 to 75 pitches today. However, he is not the prototypical fireballing lefty. He will be okay and a number 4 starter, maybe a 3.5 starter if he can improve his breaking ball. But he's definitely not lights out. He's also only 6 feet tall, so he's not like the dominant lefty. So the White Sox currently lead the league with the 133 WRC plus against lefties. So WRC plus is weighted runs created plus. Essentially what that is doing is it's neutralizing a bunch of different variables like park factor, defense, etc., and creating a league-wide scoring efficiency baseline of 100. What this means is the White Sox are creating 33% more runs than league average in the same situation. That's 12 points better than the Astros, which are the next closest team. Tim Anderson, Jose Abreu, obvious plays, along with Yohan Moncada, Yerman Mercedes, and Andrew Vaughn. 89 career plate appearances against lefties. However, they have 300 combined isolated power. That's pretty good. Not much of a track record / it's a small sample size. But the other nice bonus, once Aiken's out of the game, we get the Baltimore bullpen, which is an absolute unmitigated disaster.
Yeah, they're scraping the bottom of the barrel here at pitching. The Orioles are. They're like, do we have any pitching in here? And they came up with this guy, Keegan. I mean, it's hard to argue with what you said. The White Sox are very, very good at hitting lefties. The guys that I like the most on the White Sox are Abreu is probably number 1 for me. And then Moncada is actually really, really having a really, really good season against lefties. So let's not forget about him. And then my boy, Andrew Vaughn. Can I do a major league thing?
There has to be a major league reference.
Give me Vaughn. So yeah, Andrew Vaughn, DK keeps underpricing this guy. What is he at today? 3,100. This is the most he's been all year. Yeah, he's been in the mid 2Ks all year for some reason. But yeah, his expected numbers are great. X slugging of 464, 51% hard hits, 92 exit velocity. These are all excellent numbers. So yeah, I mean, it's the White Sox here. I'm expecting them to be very popular. Let's just get that out of the way. But I think it does make sense to load up on these guys due to how many barrels they get. And one thing we also want to mention is that Aiken is not like your ground ball or lefty that mitigates power. He gives up 52% fly balls versus righties. So that's another thing that is going to up his propensity to give up home runs. I mean, he hasn't been bad yet, but it's only a 10 inning sample size. So yeah, I mean, it's the White Sox here. And then we have Giolito on the other side. Giolito hasn't been as good this year as we expected him to be, I think. Yeah, like 9% walks given up is a little high, 40% hard hits. But this Baltimore lineup strikes out a ton and just doesn't have many good hitters outside of Trey Mancini. Mancini is very, very good. Or is it Mancini? Which way do we say it? EMac, you know better than me. Mancini. Yeah, X slugging of 570 for Mancini is insane. Coming back from his cancer thing, it's just amazing to see how well this guy's been doing. But yeah, Giolito is going to be very popular today against this team. 28% strikeouts. I think I like him less than I like Max Scherzer and Woodruff, but he's probably my third favorite pitcher today.
All right, Jordan's making fun of my shirt. That says run, and look at that. It's the Hall of Fame half marathon that I did for my birthday when I turned 50. I forgot to change. I was going to wear this shirt that my wife made me because I just had my birthday.
Nice.
I'll be wearing that after I shower. Had to write 2 articles, do a run sheet, and get ready for this show this morning. So a little behind the times, but there we go.
I thought it said Run DMC. That was my guess.
Well, that would be a good one. That would be tricky.
Nice.
But there we are. All right. I see Matt Noah says, fun time to be a White Sox fan. Last really good White Sox team I seem to remember was Frank Thomas, maybe the Paul Konerko days. I remember them beating the Mariners in the playoffs. I went there.
Didn't they win the World Series? They won the World Series.
I think they won the World Series that year. I'm trying to remember now. I want to say it must have been
now I have to Google this.
Yeah, it must have been the early 2000s, like maybe the 2002 season.
Yeah.
Yeah. The AJ Krasinski. Yes. Everyone's favorite catcher. I think the league all agreed. They loved to play with him, hated him to be on the other team.
Did he become like a sportcaster?
I
feel like I saw him on ESPN.
All right. Chat's chiming in. They say 2005 or 2006.
Yeah, that's when they were. That's right. That makes more sense.
But there we are. Beating Houston.
Frank Thomas was very good. No, we can just mention.
I think maybe I'm remembering just the playoff. I remember going to a day playoff game when I lived in Seattle, walked over from work, and they ended up losing. It was not very fun. The game was fun, but not having the Mariners win. That was no bueno. No bueno. All right, couple more games to go, literally. We will be getting out of here at 10:55. We, of course, will have a little bit of time, so we'll give our top stacks, top pitchers, and home run calls. But moving on to game number 9 here, we have the Kansas City Royals going against the Minnesota Twins. Now, this one could be a little bit of rain, could be a little bit of drizzle. It doesn't seem like this game is going to be at risk of not being played. They should get it in. The only concern is these teams face each other again a few times. So that always is a variable for the weather issues. The one thing I wanted to mention, that the 3 games that have weather issues today, which this is one of them, Boston and then the Nationals, all the teams are playing in different cities tomorrow. So it's not like we could push it. Everybody, this is getaway day for everybody. So they're going to have to decide, do they make the call early or do they hold on for as long as they can?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what they do with Boston, Miami. I think they're just going to try to make this one up at another point in time. It's hard because it's an AL, NL crossover there, but the weather just does not look good for that one to happen. But it just another variable and factor in the decision making for today, because I thought, if these teams are all playing each other tomorrow, they can just punt it since it's the holiday and all that. Not the case because they're all going to be in other cities. But back to this one. So Brad Keller finally allowing a tiny bit of power. Last two and a half seasons, a 0.115 ISO to lefties, and now it's all the way up to a 1.4 against righties. How are you feeling about the Twins in this one? They get a pretty hefty implied run total there, 5.2 for someone like Keller that does not allow a lot of home runs.
All right, so here's my stand of the day. I don't like the Twins. Keller started off the season brutal.
Yeah.
XFIPs of like 11, 5, 9, 6. His last 5 starts, though, XFIPs of 363, 281, 283, and 333. These are all very good. He's a ground ball guy. So he mitigates power just naturally by throwing this sinker a ton. Yeah, his swinging strikes are like around 10%, much better than they were in the beginning of the year. His fastball is around 94, lives with a slider and fastball most, and like a little bit of changeups. But other than like Kirilloff in this lineup, I really don't see any lefties that scare me. So it's mostly a right-handed heavy lineup who he fares better against. And this hefty run total is going to make the Twins very popular, I think. So for me, I don't know if I'm going to be playing Keller at 5.5K, but all these recent trends is enough for me to avoid the Twins at a pretty good clip and just load up on other stacks that I like. So that's my take of the day on this game, is that the Twins go below their run total of 5.2.
Now, here's the interesting thing with Keller is while he doesn't allow power, he doesn't strike out anyone. Just a 6.5 career K per 9. However, he allows a home run every 13 and a half innings. Wow. 30 career home runs allowed over 406 innings.
That's crazy.
That's like allowing 200, using that as the benchmark for a standard pitcher's season, or at least what it used to be. That would be 15 home runs per year. You're happy if you're fine if your pitcher is at least under 30. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Yeah. This is like,
I mean, when he gets rocked, it's just a bunch of really hard hit ground balls that get strung together, and then a couple extra base hits, and he's out of the game. So that's what happened to him in the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. But I just don't see the Twins doing that. And like, the weather is bad. It's 55 degrees. This isn't like a heavy sinker guy. Your hands are going to hurt after you hit the ball here in this cold weather. Yeah, I think I would go under on my Twin stacks today.
Yeah, and Garth in chat is saying, hey, he's had more strikeouts this year. Yeah, he's had 40 through his 45 innings. That's the highest rate he's had in his career. I just don't know how sustainable that is. I would go with the remaining track record. Now, has much changed? I was trying to look at I can look at pitch mix and pitch speed. I'm not as good as our other analysts here and looking at the velocity change, movement, spin rate, all that other fun stuff, because I can't find it as quick because I don't do it all the time. But I didn't see a lot that was really, really changing. It looked like it was just more sequencing and bad, frankly, just bad luck. For what he's had, and we're still in a small sample size with the strikeouts. Now, I could see the strikeouts being up a little bit this year because of the ball, because of a variety of other factors that aren't related to him, his talent.
Everybody's strikeouts are up, EMac. It's not just him.
But that's a great point, because my Garth, and thank you for bringing that up, because it allows us to expand and say what Max says. I probably am going to take the Twins out of my player pool. I don't really see a need to get them. One-offs for a guy that gives up a home run every 13 innings. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense either. So I don't really need to get to the Twins. Maybe I'll play them a little bit on the afternoon slate, or that mid-afternoon slate, but I don't really see a reason to. Here's a way to make it stand. You're hoping they do great against the bullpen. The one thing I'm trying to decide is, do I play Keller? And I don't know that we really need to, because we don't really need the salary savings. Now, you won't be able to get, the Scherzer Woodruff plus Chicago White Sox combo, but there's still enough cheap bats out there that you could go with, maybe not the best stack, but you could get both those aces in your lineups. So this is just kind of an interesting spot here. On the other side, we have Matt Shoemaker. Now, I have an irrational love for the Cobbler. And it's funny, most people don't know that Cobbler is a Shoemaker.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's wild.
sure.
I think I asked Adam that. He had no idea. He's like, isn't it a dessert?
He's
Yeah,
like 15
okay.
years old. I mean,
Yeah. It's like, come on, really? It's not like Pinocchio Geppetto was a cobbler. Can we still say that? No, I guess not. What are we doing with Shoemaker? He is 5.3 on DK. He does have strikeout upside.
does
Oftentimes he
he?
gets hurt. Well, when the splitter is splitting, he does, but that usually involves him going to the DL not long after. So what do you want to do with him against the Twins? Or pardon me, against the Kansas City Royals?
I want to stack Kansas City.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, his stats just are not very good. 13% strikeout rate this year, 8% walk rate. X slugging giving up a 528. He's just not really fooling anybody anymore. Yeah, his launch angle is still only 12 degrees. So this is kind of like a line drive-ish launch angle. I would like it to be higher to get a bunch of home runs here. But also, like, the matchup is bad. Kansas City doesn't strike out a lot at all. The highest strikeouts they have are like Soler. But he also has a ton of power. So yeah, like, to me, I think I like the Royals here. I don't know if I want to stack them in this bad weather, but I do like Sal Perez for sure. I like Carlos Santana. I definitely think like Merrifield has upside with all the steals that he gets and a little bit of power that he provides.
And
So yeah,
Mondesi back makes that lineup a lot better. Not to cut you off there.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I mean, he's been hitting the cover off the ball, just returning. I only 11 batted ball events, but 81% hard hits. So he's not coming back off the DL like struggling. He's coming back off the DL really hitting the ball well. And also some steal upside now with him and Merrifield. Those two guys like to steal bases. And Benintendi actually as well has really nice sprint speed. So yeah, the Royals here for me, no Matty Shoemaker, unfortunately. The cobbler is going to have to be left off of my lineups today.
All right. Fair points all the way around. Final game, which is good because we got about 6 minutes left before we're going to clear on out of here because we got 2 hours of NBA DFS coverage coming up. We have the Cincinnati Reds going into Chicago, or well, staying in Chicago, taking on the Cubbies. It's the 2:20 start here. It's going to be in the low 60s throughout this game. No real worry about any precipitation. Slight breeze coming in from right field. Not enough to really be a difference maker. Tyler Mahle is 7,900. He is going against the Cubbies, who have a 4.4 implied run total. We have a dinged up Anthony Rizzo. If he's out, that lineup becomes a little bit more appealing here, especially considering the weather and neutral wind. On the other side, you have Jake Arrieta going against the Reds, who, of course, already have their lineup out. I always make the joke that they could have their lineup out. You ask them what it's going to be game 62 3 years from now, they'll tell you what their lineup's going to be. They always get this stuff out early. But we're going to see Eugenio Suarez leading off. You've got Jesse Winker, who's just all sorts of power laden batted ball activities from him this year. Nick Castellanos struggling a little bit, but starting to round into form. Tyler Naquin swings from his heels. Tyler Stevenson somehow batting cleanup.
He's not bad.
He's catcher eligible at 3,400
yes.
on DK. I think we found our catcher of the day. What are you breaking down from this Midwestern matchup?
Red stack for me. Yeah, Arrieta at this point in his career, not good. X slugging 475, 18% strikeouts, 8% walks, 44% hard hits. The launch angle doesn't scare you. Not a ton of ground balls, a bunch of line drives and fly balls. So that makes me love these Winker, Castellanos, and Naquin. Those three are just insane this year. Winker, 52% hard hits, 566 X slugging, and doesn't strike out much, only 19%. Naquin strikes out a little bit more, but very similar slugging numbers. Castellanos also really good, X slugging of 598, only 20% strikeouts. Stevenson, not really a power bat, but decent enough for a catcher batting in the middle of this lineup. And Suarez is actually a decent play here. I really only like him in matchups where he won't be strike out much. He has 32% strikeouts this year. So putting him against pitchers that strike him out a ton is not good. Arrieta doesn't strike out many guys, and he still has an X slugging of 420. Suarez does. So that 1 through 5 is a really, really nice stack for me today. Chicago is actually like no wind blowing out, which we would love at Wrigley, but 63 degrees is one of the better games as far as weather that we have, and no precipitation. So yeah, I really like the red stack here. Man, Molly's a guy that I was high on when the season started. The strikeouts looked really, really sweet. Now the last 3 games, 8% swinging strike, 9% swinging strike, 4% swinging strike. Yeah, the batted balls aren't looking very good. xFIP of 4.5 the last 2 starts. Yeah, I just don't know if I can pay for him. And I think some of these Cubbies bats do make sense. Jock Peterson is 5.6K. That seems really, really expensive. So I don't know if I can get to a Cubs stack here. They're all in the 5Ks. But one guy I do want to mention is Ian Happ, a guy that has always hit for a ton of power, only 4.4K. So that's the guy I like here from the Cubbies. Yeah, so red stack and Happ for me from this game.
All right, Max is going to get ready with his top pitchers, his home run call, and his top stacks. I'm going to tell you guys about the Awesemo Hall of Fame promotion. We have the ability for you to win 30 free days of Awesemo premium content. All you got to do is download the Awesemo avatar. That's at awesemo.com/avatar. Put that on your DFS account. Finish in the top 3 of any contest with at least 5,000 entries. The entry fee doesn't matter. It can be the nickel, it can be $100, but you can have a little bit of fun there and get 30 free days of Awesemo premium content. All you got to do is tweet at Awesemo_COM and at AwesemoHOF on Twitter, and we'll get you those 30 free days of Awesemo premium content. You don't finish in top 3, don't worry about it. You can still tweet at the AwesemoHOF. We love to celebrate big wins, and you'll get your name and screenshot as part of one of our montages that we run 6 or 7 times a week. So definitely check that out. All right, top stacks.
Top stacks. All right, let's do it. So we finally have our top stacks duel up here.
Oh, but let's give them a little taste. We're 2 hours away from lock, but we can give them a little taste today.
The top stack today, the Yankees at 13% percentage of being a top stack, but also 18% ownership. So as we were saying, this was going to be a very popular stack today. You're going to get a negative leverage score, but I'm going to go over on them actually. They're my top stack of the day here. Yeah, I don't think it's that close. The White Sox are the second highest projected stack. Also love them. And you're going to get a decent leverage here at only 4% owned. My 2 lower owned top stacks that I really like are Cincy, that we have at 7%, and Houston, that we only have at 4%. So those are my 2 under the radar stacks.
Where is Minnesota coming in?
Minnesota is third at 9%. Okay. And
so we're saying tread lightly, potential full fade.
Yes, exactly.
I don't think I've ever said, outside of a weather thing set or an amazing pitcher, just taken a team out of my player pool.
EMac, we are influencers in the baseball world, because the run total for the Twins since we talked about them has gone from 5.1 to 4.8.
Interesting. Well, Steven Reynolds, this one's for you. Yeah, you wrote in chat. We've got the #1 DFS player in the world, and EMac's on the airwaves. I'm dead. Well,
that's right.
Let's revive you a little bit here. Clearly, we're moving the markets. And 2, you get to see Alex Baker, Awesemo himself, at 6 o'clock tonight when he does, or probably at 5 o'clock tonight when he does NASCAR Live Before Lock. He will be hosting the show with analyst Phil. So you can definitely check out Alex as he talks about all the different tools that he utilizes as well. You can get to the afternoon stacks. I'm going to drop the Spotlight hitters and stacks article in there. That's a free article. I've written that up. While I do think the Arizona game is definitely one to go to, look to the Seattle Mariners going against Hyun-Yong Yang. Apologies if I did not pronounce that correctly, but the Mariners, we can definitely look to their top 4 or 5 hitters and get some action there against the lefties. We want to say thank you to Prize Picks for sponsoring our show. You're going to get the NBA Deeper Dive here in just a few minutes, not on this stream, but still on the Awesemo channel. Hit that like button on the way out, and then you can go watch Josh and Rinpak start to break down 2 hours of NBA DFS content. Beautiful. And then we also have NBA Live Before Lock, a second round at 6 o'clock tonight for the 2 games tipping off at 7. Final thoughts before we dip on out of here, Max?
Don't play the Twins. Yeah, and stack the Yankees and the White Sox.
And he meant to say, hit that like button, get us up to 100.
Oh yeah,
Come on. Come on.
And please win some money with some Awesemo avatars, and let's look at the Hall of Fame tomorrow and see all of our guys on there.
Perfect. All right. With that, gamers, good luck.
Peace.